On the 16th of November, 1991, Mumbai was immersed in its daily rhythm, the bustling local trains, the incessant honking on the roads, and the ceaseless activity in towering buildings. Yet, in the Lokhandwala complex of Andheri West, an event was about to unfold that would forever scar the city's crime history. This was the era when the Mumbai Underworld was at its most perilous, with Dawood Ibrahim's D Company extending its influence into every street and business. However, within this underworld, there were names that showed no fear of Dawood nor of the police. Among them were Dolas and Dilip Buwa, gangsters who had brazenly engaged in protection rackets, extortion, and violence, issuing an open challenge to the entire system. Their reign of terror, marked by open arms and bullets, had become a grave matter of honor for the Mumbai police. Then, on that fateful day, the Mumbai Police Anti-Terrorism Squad received intelligence that Dolas and Dilip Buwa were holed up with their associates in a fifth-floor flat of the Swati Building in Lokhandwala complex. Led by Additional Commissioner A. Khan, police units swiftly converged, surrounding the Swati Building from all sides. The police used loudspeakers to demand their surrender, but the gangsters responded with gunfire, initiating a fierce exchange. In mere seconds, the tranquil afternoon of Lokhandwala transformed into a war zone. Residents retreated into their homes, windows shuttered, and the entire area echoed with the relentless sound of bullets. This shootout raged for 4 hours, with the police firing 450 rounds. By its end, Dolas, Dilip Buwa, and 7 other gangsters lay dead. Surprisingly, this operation did not bring commendation to the police. Instead, it drew widespread defamation and intense scrutiny, with fingers pointing directly at their conduct. The controversy escalated to such an extent that the government was compelled to launch a magisterial inquiry. Years later, a film based on this shootout was also embroiled in its own set of controversies. One of the most perplexing aspects was the discovery of a police officer among the notorious gangsters killed in that building. This officer also perished in the shootout. This raises critical questions. How did a residential area in Mumbai become a battlefield? Who accused the police of misconduct in that shootout? And why were Dolas and Dilip Buwa so formidable that the police had to resort to such a large-scale encounter? The central figure in this narrative was Dolas, whose real name was Mahindra Dolas. Born on the 15th of October 1966 into an impoverished family in Sion, Koliwada, Mumbai, his father had hoped he would pursue education, secure a job, and lead a respectable life. After completing 10th grade, Dolas enrolled in an ITI course, but his interest in studies waned. At that time, Mumbai was gripped by the underworld, and crime was commonplace. The areas where Dolas grew up were often hideouts for prominent gangsters evading the police. Consequently, from childhood, Dolas observed these criminals, finding the underworld profoundly captivating. As he matured, he gravitated towards a life of crime. In 1982, after finishing his ITI course, he abandoned further education. At just 16 years old, his fearless demeanor caught the attention of Ashok Joshi's gang, which he soon joined. Ashok Joshi's gang held sway from Kanjur Marg to Vikhroli at the time. Working with this gang, Dolas first became intimately acquainted with the intricacies of criminal activities. He subsequently orchestrated numerous extortion rackets, threatening businessmen, builders, and other affluent individuals over the phone to collect weekly payments. Ashok Joshi's gang maintained a close alliance with the Baikala Company, led by Ramanayak and Babu Reshim. The Baikala gang dominated several areas of Mumbai, with gangsters like Arun Gali, Sada Pavle, Kiran Valawalkar, Chandrasekhar Mirashi, and Ashok Chowdhury operating under its banner. This gang also included a sharpshooter named Dilip Buwa, renowned for his exceptional marksmanship. Dilip Buwa was one of the rare elite sharpshooters proficient with an AK-47 rifle, a skill highly uncommon then. He was a calm yet lethal gangster, once shooting 2 girls at a bus stand simply because he believed they were laughing at him. Given the close friendship between Ashok Joshi's gang and the Baikola Company, and their frequent collaboration on crimes, members of both gangs often interacted. It was through these interactions that Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa met, quickly forging a strong friendship. For the next 4 to 5 years, they worked together for these gangs. However, the story took a significant turn in 1987 when some prisoners associated with Babu Reshim, a founding member of the Baikula Company, were killed while incarcerated at Jacob Circle Police Station. The Dholakia brothers were implicated in conspiring their deaths, prompting the Baikula Company to assign its top shooter, Dilip Buwa, the task of eliminating them. Soon after, Dilip Buwa murdered Mahesh Dholakia and Arvind Dholakia, solidifying his formidable reputation within the Mumbai Underworld. By then, D Company chief Dawood Ibrahim had also become a colossal figure in Mumbai's criminal landscape. His ambition was to monopolize the Mumbai Underworld, often directly liaising with Mumbai police to target rival gangs. Consequently, D Company and the Baikula Company frequently clashed in criminal endeavors. It is rumored that D Company's intelligence led Mumbai police to encounter and kill Ramanayak, the other founding member of the Baikula Company. This marked the beginning of a brutal gang war between the two factions. Ashok Joshi's gang retaliated by killing Satish Raje, Dawood's financial advisor, in broad daylight. This act of vengeance proved devastating for Ashok Joshi and Arun Gali. Dawood, along with his right-hand man Chota Rajan, unleashed a barrage of 180 rounds on Ashok Joshi's car, killing him and 3 of his associates. Dawood then proceeded to eliminate Arun Gali's elder brother, Kishore Gali. With the Baikula Company and Ashok Joshi's gang decimated, the sole responsibility of leadership fell to Arun Gali. Witnessing the collapse of the Baikula Company and Ashok Joshi's gang, Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa contacted Chota Rajan and, under his directives, joined D Company. Though close friends, Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa possessed contrasting personalities. Maya was aggressive and constantly used foul language, whereas Dilip Buwa was remarkably calm. Maya Dolas craved power and enjoyed flaunting it, while Dilip Buwa believed in quiet execution, silently securing his share after completing a task. They were like fire and water, complementing each other. Upon joining D Company, Maya Dolas was tasked with intimidating people and collecting protection money, while Dilip Buwa was responsible for setting up shops for those who refused to comply. This is where Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa's notoriety began to soar. Dawood had recruited Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa into D Company primarily to swiftly eliminate all remaining associates of Arun Gali and Ashok Joshi. Having been connected to both gangs for a long time, Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa were considered ideal for this task. Soon after joining D Company, they began systematically targeting Arun Gali and Ashok Joshi's associates. On the 17th of September, 1989, Maya Dolas, Dilip Buwa, and some of their companions received intelligence that several members of the Ashok Joshi gang would be attending a Ganpati celebration in Kanjur Marg. Armed with AK-47 rifles, they arrived at the location and impatiently awaited their targets. The celebration was crowded with people, children, and women. The atmosphere was festive with puja, ceremonies, and dancing. Typically, a hitman would retreat from such a crowded scene due to the risk of harming innocents and the potential for witnesses to identify them to the police. However, Maya Dolas was an eccentric gangster. Once given a task, he would not return until it was completed, regardless of the circumstances. This trait distinguished him from other criminals. After a while, Maya Dolas spotted 3 members of the Arungali gang participating in the celebration. He called out their names, and as soon as they turned, he unleashed a hail of bullets, killing all 3. Tragically, 5 innocent bystanders also perished in this horrific shootout. Following this incident, the names Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa instilled widespread fear in Mumbai. Their standing in the underworld skyrocketed, and other gangsters began respectfully referring to Maya Dolas as Maya Bai. Maya Dolas was a devoted fan of Sanjay Dutt. In 1987, he particularly loved the song Kya Rakha Hai Is Dil Mine from Dutt's film Imandar. He would play this song repeatedly on a loop. Once, he visited a dance bar with 2 friends, where people were dancing and singing. Suddenly, Maya Dolas began to curse, held a waiter at gunpoint, and demanded that the song Kya Rakha Hai Is Dil Mine be played. He forced the song to play 7 or 8 times on a loop, astonishing everyone present with his audacious display of power. Maya Dolas's manner of speaking was so intimidating that people trembled at the sound of his voice. Moreover, his unwavering determination to complete any task assigned by his boss made him the most ruthless figure of that era for extortion calls. When businessmen refused to pay, Maya Dolas would go directly to their offices, firing at glass and furniture to frighten them. Terrified, they would immediately hand over the money. Soon, Dawood Ibrahim himself began supplying Maya Dolas with target lists, and Maya Dolas, alongside Dilip Buwa, systematically eliminated them. Their reign of terror grew so pervasive in Mumbai that no one dared to cross them. In that era, the Bisi racket was prevalent in Mumbai. Participants would contribute equal amounts monthly, and a lucky draw would determine the winner. While the winning person couldn't participate in the draw for a few months, they still had to deposit money monthly to maintain the pool. However, many individuals would abscond after winning, discontinuing their subsequent installments. Often, these amounts ran into lakhs and crores of rupees. To resolve collection issues and disputes in this large-scale business, racket operators began seeking assistance from D Company. Given Maya Dolas's feared reputation in the area, Dawood entrusted him with this task, and in return, the operators paid D Company. Initially, Maya Dolas handled this work smoothly, but he soon turned the tables. He extorted large sums from the fugitives and then offered them protection. This led to the collapse of many businesses and substantial losses for numerous people. Dawood attempted to rein in Maya, but he ignored Dawood's directives. This marked the beginning of the deterioration in Dawood and Maya Dolas's relationship, a clash that would prove fatal for Maya Dolas and his associates. During this period, Maya Dolas repeatedly defied Dawood's orders, independently orchestrating many deals. The situation worsened when Dawood assigned a deal to Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa, who would call the targeted individual and threaten them, only for Dawood to cancel the deal when it was time to collect the money. Similarly, on one occasion, Maya Dolas spent a month harassing a Punjabi builder for extortion, only for the builder to directly strike a deal with Dawood. Dawood subsequently instructed Maya Dolas not to bother the builder, forcing Maya Dolas and his goons to retreat. After several such incidents, Maya Dolas decided to confront Dawood Ibrahim directly. He was poised to inflict a significant loss upon Dawood. A few days later, Dawood Ibrahim's gold consignments arrived at Mumbai port. Still fearing Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa, Dawood entrusted them with the responsibility of handling these consignments. It was here that Maya Dolas committed the ultimate betrayal, absconding with a gold consignment worth over 1 crore rupees. This betrayal profoundly shook Dawood Ibrahim. He feared that if news spread of Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa making off with his gold consignment, his reputation would be severely damaged. Consequently, he resolved to eliminate them both. Dolas and Dilip Buwa used the stolen gold to acquire a large cache of weapons and bolster their own gang, subsequently severing all ties with Dawood. Gradually, people began approaching them to resolve their personal matters. Meanwhile, Dilip Buwa's lifestyle also underwent a transformation. He and Dolas purchased a Maruti Esteem car and would drive around in it to collect money. Thus, in their pursuit of power, they had made an enemy of Dawood on one hand, and on the other, being wanted in numerous cases, the police were relentlessly pursuing them. As a result, Dolas was soon apprehended by the police and jailed in August 1991. However, a few days later, while being transported to Musgaon court for trial, he produced chili powder from his pocket, threw it into the eyes of one police officer near the court, attacked another with a blade, and escaped. This incident deeply tarnished the reputation of the Mumbai police, raising questions about how chili powder and a blade reached Dolas in jail. Following this escape, Dolas and his accomplices became a relentless thorn in the side of the Mumbai police, who were desperate to neutralize them. By then, the Mumbai police had a history of encounters with many gangsters, including Manya Surve, having been killed. The fear of police encounters had grown so intense in the Mumbai underworld that many criminals had fled India. Around this time, an Anti-Terrorism Squad (ATS) was formed under the leadership of Mumbai Police's Additional Commissioner A. Khan. This was India's first ATS, and A. Khan was tasked with locating Dolas and his associates. For the next 2 months, the ATS tirelessly pursued Dolas and his companions. A vast network of ground-level informants was activated, though most people were too terrified of Dolas and his colleagues to speak out against them. The ATS often came very close to apprehending them, but they always managed to slip away at the last minute. However, in November 1991, the Mumbai ATS was poised to execute an operation that would be unprecedented. On the 16th of November 1991, Additional Commissioner A. Khan sat in his Bandra West police office, filled with frustration. He had been after Dolas, Dilip Buwa, and their associates for months without success. But then, he received a phone call, and his face suddenly lit up. He learned that Dolas and Dilip Buwa were present with a few associates: Gopal Pujari, Raju Nadkarni, Anil Pawar, Anil Kubchandani, and Vijay Chakor in the 5th floor flat of the Swati Building in Lokhandwala complex. Upon receiving this input, Khan resolved that this day would be the last for Dolas and his gang. A flurry of activity ensued at the Bandra West police station. Khan swiftly assembled a special team of 17 policemen, including 3 inspectors, 6 sub-inspectors, and 2 constables. The challenge was that the Bandra West police station possessed only 5 bulletproof jackets, while 17 officers were deploying for the operation. Despite this, additional bulletproof jackets could not be arranged. The police team quickly gathered weapons and ammunition and departed for Lokhandwala at 11:30 inches the morning. To avoid suspicion, the officers wore plain clothes. Upon reaching the Lokhandwala complex with his team, Khan meticulously studied the layout of flat number 5 inches, the Swati Building. The flat was on the ground floor and had 2 doors, one opening outwards and the other towards the internal staircase. Keeping this layout in mind, Khan devised his operation plan and divided his team into 3 parts. The first team, comprising Inspector M.A. Kavi, Chunja Rao Garal, and Sunil Deshmukh, was positioned at the outer door. The second team, consisting of Pramod Rane, Raja Mange, and Iqbal Sheikh, took up positions at the door leading to the stairs. The third team, made up of 11 police officers, provided cover for both primary teams from positions within the compound. As soon as the planning was complete, the first and second teams moved to breach the gangsters' flat. Inspector Kavi, with Johunjar Rao Garal, broke down the door and entered. Inside, Maya Dolas and Dilip Buwa were present with 5 other individuals. As the 3 policemen entered, the 7 gangsters grabbed their guns and opened fire. A chaotic exchange of bullets erupted between the police and the gangsters. In the midst of this, Chunchar Rao Garal was shot. As he was not wearing a bulletproof jacket, he fell, bleeding profusely. Sunil Deshmukh and Inspector Kavi managed to return fire, but then a bullet struck Inspector Kavi's right hand, injuring him as well. They were forced to retreat, and the severely injured Junjar Rao Garal was rushed to the hospital for treatment. The shootout was taking place in a residential area, surrounded by many apartments and houses. The entire neighborhood reverberated with the sound of gunfire, and terrified residents took shelter in their homes. News of the incident quickly reached the media, who rushed to the scene. The entire encounter began to be recorded on cameras, making it the first live recorded police encounter in Mumbai's history. Slowly, news of the shootout spread across Mumbai. Despite 2 police officers being injured, the Mumbai police maintained their positions, and Khan summoned additional police forces from headquarters. The police repeatedly used loudspeakers to urge Maya Dolas, Dilip Buwa, and their companions to surrender, but their only response was continued gunfire. As the shootout intensified and both police and gangsters tested each other's endurance, Dilip Buwa, desperate to escape, attempted to flee towards his car with one of his associates, firing wildly at the police. However, a police team positioned further away outside the flat fired indiscriminately, fatally hitting both of them shortly after. Soon after, the additional police force arrived at the Swati Building, surrounding it from all sides. With his best friend Dilip Buwa dead and a massive police presence, Maya Dolas found no viable escape route from the building. Being inside the flat, he and his companions were unaware of the full police deployment. After a considerable time had passed, gangsters Gopal Pujari and Raju Nadkarni attempted to flee up the stairs, but the police team positioned there pursued them to the first floor. By this point, 4 gangsters had been killed, leaving only Maya Dolas, Anil Pawar, and Anil Kubchandani alive. An hour into the shootout, Maya Dolas's patience wore thin. He devised a plan to escape and ran from the room, ascending the stairs. Wielding an AK-47 rifle, Maya Dolas ran while cursing and firing at the police. The police returned fire, and Maya Dolas was killed. He was struck by over 100 bullets, his body riddled with them. In the ensuing crossfire, Anil Pawar and Anil Kubchandani were also trapped. Both were shot 5 times. The walls of the flat were pockmarked with bullets. The TV screen shattered, and blood stained every surface. The shootout lasted approximately 4 hours, during which the police fired around 450 rounds, resulting in the deaths of 7 gangsters and serious injuries to 2 police officers. But surprisingly, instead of receiving praise for this shootout, the police faced widespread criticism and numerous questions. Several inquiries began to target the police's role. A police constable, Vijay Chakor, was identified among the deceased who had left the flat with Dilip Buwa during the encounter. This discovery raised crucial questions. What was a police officer doing with the gangsters? Was he an informant sent by the Mumbai police to gather information about Maya Dolas? If so, why couldn't the police save him? Or did the constable work for Maya Dolas? For whom did this police officer truly work? The controversy deepened. The flat where Maya Dolas and his companions were hiding was known to be close to Dawood, which further fueled this theory. There were also accusations that Maya Dolas and his companions had wanted to surrender, but the police forced an encounter. Beyond all this, the most serious allegation against the police was that they had recovered 70 lakh rupees from Maya Dolas's flat that day, but instead of depositing it with the government, they allegedly divided it among themselves. Due to all these questions, a magisterial inquiry was conducted into the encounter, and the role of the police involved was thoroughly investigated. However, subsequent investigations reportedly found all allegations against the police to be baseless. It is said that immediately after the encounter, the names of all officers involved were put forward for gallantry awards. But due to the controversies, no one received any award. During this period, ACPA, Khan's role became the subject of the most intense controversy. He was accused of corruption and of orchestrating this shootout at Dawood's behest. Furthermore, following the 1,993 communal riots, allegations of religious discrimination against him surfaced. The consequence was that when the BJP and Shiv Sena coalition government came to power in Maharashtra, Khan was blocked from being promoted to Additional Director General of Police, ADGP. Disheartened, Khan retired prematurely, joined the Janata Dal, and entered politics. In 2007, director Sanjay Gupta made a film based on the Lokhandwala encounter, titled Shootout at Lokhandwala. In this film, the character of Maya Dolas was portrayed by Vivek Oberoi. However, upon its release, the film immediately became mired in controversy, once again bringing the encounter into public discussion. Specifically, the film depicted Maya Dolas's mother encouraging him to become a bigger name in the criminal world. But Maya Dolas's mother, Ratnaprabha Dolas, asserted that she had always encouraged her son to read and write. She accused the film of distorting and misrepresenting facts and sought a court order to halt its release. However, the court did not stop the film, and it continued to run in cinemas. That is why, even after so many years, the Lokhandwala encounter remains a significant topic of discussion. If you found this story related to the underworld compelling, you can also watch our other videos about the Mumbai Mafia, the link for which you will find in the description of this video.